Welcome back, Tribe. I want to hear from Chris Williamson, why modern women feel more lost than ever. And they have a section here that says, has feminism influenced a change in parenting?
Tweet, kids as young as 9 are addicted to porn. Girls as young as 13 are using fake IDs to post explicit content on OnlyFans. A third of those selling nudes on Twitter are under the age of 18. Can you unpack that, please?
Well, I think that's, again, a lack of adults stepping in. I have this theory I've been thinking about of like everyone just accepts now that parents are overprotective. So there's like the helicopter parenting and the coddling of Gen Z.
Yeah.
But I think like parents are weirdly, they're not protective enough, but they're also coddling. So they're like coddle their children, but not put up proper boundaries or guardrails. There's like no rules, but they're over-involved.
Over-bearing in all the wrong areas and totally absent in all of the wrong ones as well.
So now it's like the only danger is like physical danger. It's injury. So parents protect from injury, but they don't protect from something like their daughters being online and posting, trying to get on OnlyFans. I mean, Jonathan Haidt talks about it when he says kids are overprotective in the real world and underprotected online. But I think it's slightly more than that because I don't think parents are totally protective in the real world because they've also, I think, kind of internalized this messaging of I shouldn't get involved, it's not my place. You think of dads now, I think dads are less protective than they've ever been because they can't care about what their daughter wears or where she goes or who she dates because that would be backward. It's her right to do that. But then you look around and you see girls doing that. You see girls like selling themselves online to strangers.
Yep.
And I think what has accidentally happened is feminism pushed this idea of like girls and boys are just as strong as each other. And then that led to people thinking, so girls don't need extra protection, which killed chivalry, but also killed fathers actually protecting girls. Because the problem is not like women are weak, it's that girls are vulnerable. But now we think, we should all step back, let girls do what they want.
A lot of baby went out with bathwater.
Yeah, and now you see...
A lot of chivalry went out with patriarchy.
Yeah, well, we killed good authority. We just killed all authority. And so now you have young women like demanding that their universities protect them and demanding that the government step in and like staring at someone becomes harassment on the tube because we degraded the authority of men they trust. Like good men and hopefully like their fathers and brothers. We just said, all kind of protection is patronizing and we don't need it. But then you leave girls completely vulnerable and looking coddled and loved, but actually completely unprotected.
There was a great tweet I saw about telling all men to stop being so pushy doesn't work because the men who don't need to hear it will take it to heart and the ones who do need to hear it aren't going to listen.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember where it was, but there was this like scheme some young women ran on a train where they had these cards. I don't know if you saw it, where it said like, I'm being harassed right now. But you hand it to someone. And so you could go into, I think it was like the tube station, you could go in and ask for the cards. And yeah, it's like, someone is harassing me. Yeah, there was all different ones. I can't remember what they were. But it's like, in that situation, what is that going to do? And that is actually the patronizing thing. And to expect that to protect girls. But we find it offensive if a man steps forward and tries to help a girl out. I think we've just thrown it all out and forgotten that part of the feminist message is right, that girls are vulnerable. But unfortunately, it's just led to a situation where we're like, vulnerability means weakness, so they don't need protecting.
Why are girls under as young as 13 using fake IDs do people want money? Is there a status thing associated with this?
Yeah, I think it's a status thing. I think girls are now growing up with influencers being their aspirational figures, as we said. I think it's something like 70% of Gen Z girls aspire to be influencers, or just Gen Z in general.
I thought you were going to say OnlyFans.
No.
Okay.
But if you look at influencers over the years, they've evolved dramatically. So like when I was 13, I would be watching like Zoella or someone who's really wholesome and didn't really have the same incentives of the algorithms back in the day. It didn't really have the same competition. Certainly didn't have like monetization of her content. So she wasn't kind of exposing herself or talking about these weird therapy trends or anything like that. But you can just gradually see over the years how it's escalated.
Who are some of the more extreme Zoella equivalents now? Or if you don't want to throw names out, you can come up with...
I can throw a name.
Yeah, throw them out.
The woman Tana Mongeau.
Tana Mongeau.
Yeah, so she's like a really popular influencer who talks about OnlyFans like it's like there's nothing dangerous about it for young girls or nothing to be worried about. And she has an audience of very young teens, probably preteens. And she'll just post with all the things she's earned from OnlyFans. So all of like the designer bags and stuff. On her podcast, she'll talk about being on OnlyFans and
how's that legal? How can you have preteens or young people in general tuning into a sex worker talking about how awesome sex work is, when it's most likely illegal in the country you live in? Excuse me. And actively pushing that line of work on a young mind that is still maturing. What the fuck do you think at 13 years old? You're a young girl. You're being influenced heavily by the hive mind. You tune into this degenerate piece of shit that is telling you that by selling your body to men, by becoming a commodity, by depowering yourself, the literal exact opposite of what feminism was telling women to do, is be more than a sack of meat to men, is now telling you that this is the way forward in life and that this is what you need to do. And it'll bring you happiness because look at this shiny bag I have. Sell your body for trinkets. That's what feminism ended up being. You're empowered that you could sell your body for trinkets. We've come all the way to the end of prostitution. Feminism was like super empowerment. The sexual revolution, body, women's empowerment went all the way back around to you're just a prostitute. That shit's crazy. Nobody says this out loud. Somehow now it's become empowering for sex work. Now it's like, you go, girl. You go, girl. Demeaning work is now you go, queen. And people wonder why. More and more are completely rejecting Western ideology, Western cultural norms, Western familial setups, Western anything. This is what it's evolved into. I don't take any advice from Western fucking people telling me about marriage, dating, relationships, society. Eat a dick. Just look at your own fucking room and tell me what it looks like. That's enough accurate of a judge. You don't even have your own house in order, bro. Jesus Christ.
I think talking about commodifying yourself like it's completely normal, that is what girls are growing up with. So they're seeing influencers commodify themselves in general, but then commodifying their body. And also having the nerve to call that empowering.
You don't think it's empowering?
No. Well, how can it be empowering to, even on Instagram, offer your body for judgment and then put your self-worth into the ranks and reviews that strangers give you? You're turning yourself into a product, effectively. So this talk of objectifying young women, that is turning yourself into an object on display, which I think is quite clear to anyone who's not grown up with it. But I don't judge the ordinary young woman for thinking that's attractive, because that has been her role models throughout growing up. And it's escalated slowly. So it went from Zoella to now OnlyFans influencers.
Bonnie Blue. Zoella to Bonnie Blue.
Yeah.
Jeez. The arc. In other news this episode, why is it that pretty much all of the examples of toxic masculinity from the past, promiscuity, sexual entitlement, hyperindependence, are all traits that are now regarded as boss girl feminist power?
I don't know. I think it might be like a revenge thing. I think young women react to the very worst traits of some men by thinking, I'll just do it back and that will give me the power. So they're like, maybe they've had a string of relationships where the guy has kind of slept with them and then left or something. And then they think, I'll just do that to the next guy. Or, they look at the men doing that and think, well, they seem very confident and happy. So that's the way to go. I think it's like a defense mechanism of some kind. And also, I think they're probably also the traits that get you popularity online. So if you look at Tana Mongeau or some of these influencers, they are promiscuous. They're quite masculine. They're quite aggressive in their speech, because people who talk assertively and in extreme ways will just suit the algorithm. You know, if you're like a reserved, timid young girl, you're not going to be the top influencer on Instagram. So I think those traits get rewarded, and then they're what girls are scrolling through all day, every day. And they're like, oh, my favorite influencer is really like vulgar and promiscuous, and she's super assertive
That's
and
the path
aggressive.
to success.
Yeah. And that's the model of like the healed, confident woman who's not held back by negative emotion or worry or jealousy or any of these things.
Assertiveness is confused for self-assuredness or wholeness, completeness, fixedness.
Well, also promiscuity is like, well, I often think now, if you're like a reserved young woman who's modest, you're now shamed. Maybe not explicitly, but implicitly, people will think there's something wrong with you, because they'll be like, oh, no, you are beautiful. You shouldn't be so like shy.
No, explicitly. If the shy reserve girl posts anything online, if she posts herself in a dress or like a flower dress or doing something traditional, maybe if she's knitting, maybe gardening, whatever it is, dude, the hate she gets from women, there's this trend. It's not even a trend, but it's just the psychological reality of what women are to each other. When it's a fat chick, when it's an ugly girl, when it's a woman that's not identified as a threat to the other women, she's told that she's a boss babe, she's a real girl boss, she's super empowered, she's beautiful, thick queen, all this stuff. It's like when you tell a woman, you look just like Lizzo. When you ask them what you think of Lizzo, they'll tell her all positive things. She's so confident, she's big girl energy, boss babe, all this stuff. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, you remind me of her. You look just like her. All of a sudden, it's like, you just dissed the shit out of them. I don't look like Lizzo. What are you talking about? I look nothing like Lizzo. And you see the realness come out. So when a beautiful woman posts something, can be doing anything, her comment section is filled with nothing but hate from other women. That she's internalized misogyny. If she says she loves being a stay-at-home mom, or she's caring for her baby and her man's at work, she's told that she's a slave, that her husband's abusing her. Like, wait until he cheats on you and leaves you with nothing. Like, their comment section, bro, is insane. That this woman likes to bake sourdough bread at home and feed her children. Absolutely has like fembots seething in the comments. When you have some fat fuck on the verge of dying because they can't breathe just standing up with their bones holding up the weight of the fucking world, it seems like. So much pressure by weight there from gravity alone. It's insane that they're able to stand without fracturing every fucking limb in their body. And doing some disgusting dance or showing themselves eating disgusting food, the comment section is uber positive, uber supportive. Like, wow, you are so confident. I wish I had your confidence. But if a attractive girl does the same thing, she's shamed for attention seeking, being a whore, pretty privilege, all the negative qualities that you could possibly imagine are then imprinted on her, you could say that, because she is a threat. Because women have always competed against each other with beauty and, by extension, the men that they're able to get. So when you have a woman who's naturally beautiful, who by extension can get men of a higher quality than the next woman, or because they compete for the same men, that woman will get chosen over them for the same man. She is a threat. She is an enemy. So she doesn't get that bullshit support. That's why women compliment each other, but they're really disses. It's the reverse for women. Men compliment each other by talking shit. Women compliment each other, or I should say, women diss each other through compliments. It's crazy. It's the exact opposite. That's why women struggle to form like real deep sisterhood style bonds, because you almost have to be in an equal position of like both are married. Let's just say, for example, both are married, both have children, both men are earning and of similar levels and equally just as attractive. And so the women basically are on an even playing field and they have everything they want. And then they are not angling for whatever the other has. That's what it takes. So to be in a high quality group of women as a woman is damn near impossible, because there's always some fucking little snake in the group that's angling for what you have, your man, your life, thinking she's better and deserves it more. It's wild, dude. My own woman tells me this shit. She has friends that are chicks she hangs out with on occasion, but like not on a close level where you could tell them things that they could use against you, right? You got like acquaintances. She's like, I would never trust any of these women with like deep secrets that could harm me because I know a woman's nature. So I'm like, Cool. At least you're red-pilled about it. We don't have to have dumbass conversations like I used to with women in the West. So go overseas, boys. What is... Anyways, we'll see you boys on the next one. Take care, everybody.